me welcome to the stage the one, the only, Lanuza. Come on, help me get him to the stage.
This is the moment, tonight is the night. We'll fight till it's over, so we put our hands up like the ceiling can't hold us. Like the ceiling can't hold us. Here we go back. This is the moment, tonight is the night. We'll fight till it's over, so we put our hands up like the ceiling can't hold us. Like the ceiling can't hold us.
Okay, that's a summit. There we go. There we go. I'm glad we're on the same wavelength because I woke up this morning, walked out of the hotel, and I felt something in the air. And it is a power, it's a potential, and the reason it's here, the energy is here, is because there was intention. There has been so much intention built in today, from the summit organizers to the sponsors to the speakers. So much intention. You all being here in this moment with the intention of being here. And there's power in that intention. So there's this word that's been going around in my mind, and I've been talking to different leaders. Okay, I want to hear from some of you. I want to hear from some of you. How many of you heard a really good one, and you want to share it with the rest of the class? Who a really good? Yeah, what was it? A spinal column. Yeah, this is not good for you. You're going to be sitting in that chair a long time. You're already thinking about your spine out of alignment, right? How many of you drew a spine of some kind? Good. Give yourselves a hand as well as the brother. Yeah, this is good. I love that idea of the spine, because the thing about the spine when we think about alignment is every single bone could be aligned perfectly, and one of them's off a little, and we feel it through our whole body. Powerful analogy. And not only that, but we don't just get our spine aligned once. Wouldn't that be great? Like, we just do it one time and we're done. No, it's continual alignment. And when it's off, we know it. We can feel it. Who else has another good one? I want to hear. Who else? Anyone? Who's a really good one? Yeah.
I drove two hearts together. Two hearts in alignment.
Oh, that's so sweet. It's so beautiful. But I love that, because when two people, and how many of you have had the experience, you meet someone, and whether it's a romantic love or like a friend love, you meet them and it's like, oh, we are aligned. And then how many of you meet someone where it's like, oh, we are so unaligned. Oh no. And you can feel it, you can sense it. And hopefully the other person senses it too, right? Like this, a good thing, good thing. Okay, I want to hear from one more. Was another really, really good one? Yes?
I just drew a straight line, and mine was being in line with the one true living God.
Yeah, so that alignment there, yeah, to align to something beyond yourself, right? That's beautiful. I love that. So I think about, you want to hear what I think about when I hear alignment? I think about a pirate ship. I want you to imagine that this pirate ship is your team. However you want to define your team. Maybe your family's your team. Maybe you have a group of friends who are your team. Maybe you're thinking of your work culture as your team. Maybe you think of your community as your, however you want to see your team. I want you to imagine your ship, that pirate ship is your team. And everybody on your team is a pirate. And I just have two questions for you. First question is, which pirate are you? And why? And go ahead and share with somebody next to you. Tell them what pirate are you? You got it? Good. Okay. Okay, and then, okay, now watch this. So that's the first question. Here's the second question. Which pirate do you want to be? We get a lot of people who are close to retirement saying 20 looks pretty good. We got, yeah.
20 looks great. Looks fun.
So go ahead and share with somebody next to you which pirate you want to be and why. So what I find fascinating about this slide, I've taken this slide, I've asked these questions for about a year and a half now to different leaders, different organizations, different teams. And there is always this gap between the pirate we see ourselves as and the pirate we want to be. I think of it like this, because I think that's how we see ourselves, that there are two selves in us. There is our actual self, who we are, how we see ourselves. When we look at ourselves in the mirror, when we think of who we are, this is our actual self. This is the pirate we are. But there's another self. There's the ideal self, the one we want to be. And so there's this gap between who we are and who we're becoming and who we want to be. And in that space that is created between those two selves is where I like to do my work. Go ahead and write this sentence down. This is my 10%, and then leave a blank. The reason today is so powerful is because there was intention. And I wonder, what if we brought that same intention and intensity into our lives every single day? What would happen? Because you're going to hear something today that is going to resonate in you. You're going to hear something that you will see as a pathway to get you from your actual self to your ideal self. And when you hear that, you're going to write it in that blank. And you're going to carry that with you tomorrow and the next day and the next day as an intention, as your 10%, to say, this is my 10% because I want to be 10% closer to that ideal self. So one of the things I do when I'm not here is I'm a runner. I run marathons for fun. This picture was taken at the Vancouver, BC Marathon 2 years ago. I raced it. The reason I show this picture, I've been running marathons for 20 years, but this is the first time that I ever ran a marathon doing negative splits. Negative splits is like the mecca for marathoners. Negative splits means your second half of your race is faster than your first half of the race. It means you paced well at the beginning. I think back to my first marathon where I went out way too fast and suffered. I did positive splits, which is what most marathoners do. It's what I did for 20 years of my marathoning career until this race here. This picture was taken with only 4 miles left to go of 26.2. And so that meant all those people were in front of me at the beginning of the race, and I started to pick them off one at a time. And I remember this guy. See that guy in the back? No, you can't see him. He's so small. Look how far away he is. Yeah, and I remember he was in front of me, and I got to like only 5 miles left to go, and I ran right alongside of him. And he turned and he looked at me. He's like, "Where did you come from?" And I'm at the end of my marathon. I'm end of my mind. I don't know so I say the first thing that comes to my mind, I turn to him and I'm like, "Boise, Idaho." And I ran away from him. He never caught me. It's what happened. I got second place in that race of people over 40. Yeah, so that, thank you, yeah. But I wonder what it would take to be first. I'm always looking. Every time I go out for a run, I'm running with intention. I'm racing with intention to get faster and faster and faster. That is my goal. That is my end. I also show this picture because see those shoes? Nike built the first prototype ever of what's called a super shoe. They put a carbon plate in the shoe and they claimed, and it was later verified by scientists not associated with Nike. They said if you wear the shoe, it was tested, it was proven, if you wear this shoe, you can be up to 4% faster. So it doesn't matter that it's $350 to buy a pair of these shoes. Because it can get me 4% faster. What would it be like for you to be 10% more aligned with who you want to be? Can you imagine that? What it would look like to be a 10% better parent, to be a 10% better partner, to be a 10% better community leader, to be a 10% better leader. What would that look like? What would that mean for you and the people around you, and the people that you lead and the people that you serve? It's easy with a marathon because it's like you have the path set out and the whole goal is just go faster. What's our goal in life? How do we find direction? How do we find that closer? This is a good place to start. Values. This is just a list of values. The ones that are highlighted are not any more important. I just made it so it's more readable, okay? So don't, I want you to look at this and I want you to pick out, what are 5 of these words that resonate with who you are? You would say these are 5 things that I value more than any of those other things. And go ahead and write those 5 down. What would they be as you look at them? It could be that there's a word up there or that's not up there that you would want. You can write that down too. It's hard too, right? They're values because they are all of our values. Which are the 5 that are most important? What would they be? Okay, good. It looks like everybody stopped writing, so you've got your 5. Now what I want you to do, I know this is cruel, but just trust me on this, is cross out 2. Oh yeah, the groans. This is great. Cross out 2 from your list, and these are going to be your top 3. Your big 3. And when you're done with that, go ahead and share it with somebody next to you. Say, these are my 3 values. These are them. So as you think about your 10%, that change that you're going to make, that intention you're going to set for your life to get closer to that actual self, this is a really great place to start. I know where last week it was tax season, right? That was fun. That was a great time. And I wonder what would happen if you were to, instead of audit your finances, just audit your life. What if you were to go through this past week, this past month, this past year, and add up all the hours in your day and how you spent those hours? If somebody looked at how you spent your hours and somebody looked at what you wrote down in your top 3, these are my top 3 values, would they align? When your life is audited for its time, would somebody say, yeah, that makes sense? I've been thinking a lot about time, and as I thought about time, I calculated how many hours we have in a week. This is fun. You know you have 168 hours in a week. And the person sitting next to you has the same amount of time. Isn't that strange how that works? And so I started subtracting. For instance, at the time I wrote this, I was working 50 hours a week, and you can do the math, make your own calculations, how many ever hours a week you're working and what that looks like with your side hustle, with your family, with your job, whatever it is that you're doing. You can subtract those hours from that. Could be 40, could be 70, could be 80. Hopefully it's not 100. Come on, kids. Okay. And then you have your sleep hours. I get about 6 hours, probably more like 5 nowadays, I don't know. And then subtract that from there. But if you go with this, watch this. 76 life hours a week. Wow. I remember when I was first doing this, I was at this this little bar over by my house. I was working on this, and the bartender is like, "What are you working on?" And I said, "Oh, I just calculated this out." And I showed him, and he looked at it, and he's like, "I have 76 hours a week?" He's like, "What am I doing with my life?" It's like, I don't know. Let's talk about it. As you look at those 76 hours, are they aligned with your values? The first time I did this value exercise, it was like 7 years ago. And I did the whole thing. I started with my 5 and then cut it down, and I grown 2 and I got to my 3. And one of my top 3 was creativity. But I found at the time, as I audited my own life and I looked at it, I realized I wasn't being creative. I wasn't creating anything. I wasn't living my values. There was this ideal self that I had that wasn't aligned with my actual self. Because my actual self was working 40 hours a week at Boise State University in the financial aid office. I don't know if you've ever worked in a financial aid office or if you've ever been to a financial aid office, but they don't appreciate creativity there. And since all my work hours were spent where I couldn't be creative, I felt drained when I got home. And since I felt drained when I got home, I would just sit and watch Netflix every single day. And I'd sit, veg out on the couch till 11, 12 at night, go to sleep, wake up and do it all over again. Until I realized I'm unhappy because I'm not living according to my values. And so as soon as I had that thought, I remember going back from the class. I was riding my bike home, and I was like, I need to do something creative, so I started a band. We're called Helium Shelium. You've never heard of us. Of course, I had to buy 6-inch holographic platforms for the occasion, do Euphoria-style makeup and all that. Like I had to, obviously. We went on to record an album. We played Treefort 2 times. We were signed to a label in London. Euro pop stars. But it wasn't about that. It wasn't about the successes. It was about the fact that finally I was aligned with who I was meant to be. And I lived in that life. And I want to build my life hours according to my values and be more aligned with who I want to be. And so every season of my life, for the past year and a half or so, I've had an intention. And I take that intention, I put it on a sticky note, and I stick it to the book I'm reading. I like literature and read books with my partner, and we talk about it. But what I do is I write my intention right here. You can't read it from there, so I put it up on the screen. This is my intention for my season. No one is trying to hurt you, Che. Is my intention right now. For as long as I can remember, I have been rejected by people, family, close friends, whole communities, years and years and years feeling this rejection. And so I've built up this wall. I've built up this shell around me that impacts and influences every single relationship I have, including the current relationship I have with my partner of almost 4 years. It influences my relationship with my kids, with my partners that I work with, because all of a sudden I get this sense of, oh, this person doesn't like me. Oh, these people don't like me. Oh, they're criticizing me. Oh, something is happening, and I'll get there's this tiny little break, and I will take a huge step back in order to protect myself. And I realized that was not serving me. When you start seeing everybody as your enemy, and you start treating everybody as your enemy, from the people who keep their dogs unleashed when you're going on a run, like, you're after me, to the people who cut you off in traffic, to your loved ones who simply make a suggestion, and everything I met with anger. And I noticed that about a month ago, and so I wrote this intention down. And every morning, and every afternoon, every evening, as often as I need to, I repeat this as a mantra. No one is trying to hurt you, Che. And I remember the first day I wrote this down, and I woke up in the morning and I read it, and I went out on my run. And I went back in my mind of all the people that I've disconnected from, that I've distanced myself from. And I wonder, would it have been different if I would have had this? Would I have stepped that far back if I would have had this? Because already in the month that I've been running this intention, I've noticed a difference in my relationships. I've noticed a difference in my leadership, all because of this one intention. So what's it going to be for you? What is going to be that thing that is going to hit you in this space? That is going to cascade you and push you forward into tomorrow and in that closer ideal self. But I will say this, be careful what you write down. I shared this with all of our VIP people last night, and I've got a little bit of time, so I want to share it all with you as well. The reason you want to be careful with what you write is because there's this concept that whatever is in your mind, you will look for. And whatever you look for, you will find. So let me say that again, right? So whatever is in your mind, you're going to look for. And whatever you look for, you are going to find. I grew up in the 90s when rollerblades came out. Yeah. And all of the businesses had to buy new signs because they had to take down the no skateboarding signs and put up the no skateboarding and rollerblading signs. Remember that? That was fun. And so my friends and I, a big group of us, we all became rollerbladers together. And it transformed how we saw our small Southern Oregon town. Because these roads that we've been on and biked on and drove on and walked on, all of a sudden we were seeing the roads in a different light. We were looking at roads that we could rollerblade on now. Our city had been transformed because there was something different in our mind. And so it transformed what we were looking for. And so it transformed what we found. When I went to college, I became a rock climber. And all of a sudden, I wasn't looking at the ground anymore. I was looking at the walls. Remember, my roommate and I, we would just look at walls and be like, I think we could climb that. I think we could do that. You ever know somebody who's a climber? They just see the world differently because climbing is on their mind. So it's transformed what they're looking for. So it transforms what they find. This here, no one is trying to hurt you. That is in my mind. That's transforming how I see things. What's going to transform you? How are you going to see the world differently because of what you're writing there? Something needs to die today. There's an old way of being. There is an old way of thinking. There is an old way of leading that is no longer serving you, that you have held on to for decades. And it's time to discard that. And it's time to embrace a new way of thinking, a 10% that's going to get you closer to that ideal self. And I believe you're going to hear that today. And when you hear that and when you write it down, can you send me an email? Just write me an email. You don't even need to say anything else. Just if you don't have to, if you don't want to, just say, this is my 10% and write it out. And then 3 months from now, send me another email and be like, and here's how it's going. It's going to transform you. Friends, as you move that much closer to who you want to be, to who you're meant to be, and we're right on the cusp of it. We're right there, right now. Are you ready? Are you ready? Yeah, we can applaud that. That's okay. Can do that. But it's going to be hard. You do one more thing with me before I go. I want you to go like this. I want you to put your hands together like this. Good. Okay, now watch this. Whatever thumb is on top, I want you to move that thumb on the bottom and shift your whole hands so you're holding it. How's that feel? Turn to the person next to you and tell them exactly how it feels. How does it feel? It's weird. It's awkward. Okay, stay in the weird and the awkward, can you? Maybe you can. In the days of COVID, I was doing this online YouTube yoga class. And the yoga instructor had us do some pose. I don't even remember what the pose. It was bendy and twisty or whatever. And they had us, and the instructor said, okay, fold your hands. So I folded my hands the way I fold them. And then the instructor said, okay, now we're going to twist the other way and refold your hands. It was the first time I did it. I had the same reaction look on my face as many of you did. And I held it like that. And I'm like, oh, this is awkward. This is weird. But I had this other thought. I said, what if I were to practice holding my hands awkwardly? And so I set a timer. I was doing Zoom meetings at the time, and I set a timer, and I would do it the weird way for 5 minutes, and I do it the normal way for 5 minutes. And I did that for 3 months. And you know what happened at the end of 3 months? Both were awkward. I thought I had broken myself. But I pushed through for another month, and after that month, then neither one were awkward. The reason it's awkward is because at some point in our time, in some point in our life, we decided this was the way we're going to fold our hands, and we folded our hands that way. At some point in my mind, I thought everyone is out to hurt me. Everyone's out to get me. Nobody likes me. And that locked in just like this locked in. And it is taking work, and it is taking effort, and it is so awkward. That's how your 10% is going to feel. Because you have been living in your actual self in some of these modes and patterns of thinking for years and decades. And the shift and the change is going to be hard. It's going to be awkward. It's going to be difficult, but it's so worth it, because now I can go into a yoga studio, and when they tell me to fold my hands the other way, I'm like, hold my yoga mat. Come on. Thank you all so much. You've been amazing, amazing, amazing participants. I'll see you later.